Oh. Hello everybody, I am coming live to you today to cook for you some shrimp and grits. So I went on yesterday evening and did a post saying that we were going to be going on. I've got a couple of things going on right now on my stove to get ready for our shrimp and grits. So, hello Michael, how are you? So, a couple of things that I have going on. I'm going to go over with you quickly our ingredients. So I'm going to flip my camera around so you guys can see. I have for you ingredients that you're going to need, and I did post these yesterday. I'm using 1 cup of heavy cream. I'm using 3 cups of cooking stock. I'm using about a pound or so of peeled and deveined shrimp. I'm using about 3 cloves of garlic minced. The juice of 1 lemon. I'm using in my pan here approximately 2 cups of chopped red and yellow bell peppers, and it basically equates to about 1 red pepper and 1 yellow pepper, and I just kind of chopped them up smaller. I put also in here 1 jalapeño. That's minced, and that's the green that you're seeing in there. And in this, I put in about 2 tablespoons of butter, and I squeezed the juice of my lemon in here. So that's going to kind of give you some acid for your shrimp and grits. So those are the things that I first got started going. I have not put my garlic in yet because I want to put my garlic in kind of last, because garlic has a tendency to burn, and so I don't want it to burn. I want it to have a really nice flavor to it. So I'm going to be putting this in kind of like one of the last things that I do. So for right now, this is good to go. So when you're making shrimp and grits, you're going to get your peppers on, slice them and get your peppers on. And again, this is basically 1 yellow pepper, 1 red pepper, chopped up, and it comes out to be about 2 cups or so. And this is also 1 jalapeno pepper, and that is in here, and it's mincing in the juice of 1. It's cooking in the juice of 1 lemon and 2 tablespoons of butter. So in a little bit here, I'm going to add my shrimp here, and I'm going to add my garlic to this pot. But it doesn't take that long for shrimp to cook. You don't want your shrimp to get very rubbery. And so, excuse me, and so I'll be putting that in there last. So also now in this pot I have going for you, and I'm going to get a pot holder here for you in this pot. Someone's trying to call me. So I have going in this pot right here, I have 3 cups of chicken broth and 1 cup of heavy cream going on in this pot right here. And in this pot is where I'm going to add my grits. So when you do your grits, you really need to be careful that when you put them in, that you're constantly stirring them. I've had a lot of people tell me, I'm going to turn my camera on for a moment. I've had a lot of people tell me that they really struggle when making grits, and that it's really kind of a hard thing. And the only thing I can tell them is, 1, you must salt before you put your grits in, or you will never get them salty enough. And 2, you need to, when you pour your grits in, you need to be constantly stirring those grits until they are completely cooked, because they have a tendency to lay on the bottom of the pot, and they have a tendency to get a little lumpy. So, and it's just a little bit of trial and error. Hey Nathan, it's good to see you. Jacob, thanks for watching. So, I am going to be pouring in my shrimp and grits here in just a minute. And for people who came in a little bit late, I'm going to turn my camera around just so that you can see what I'm doing here. So I have on my peppers, my jalapeno. They are getting nice and steamy in my iron skillet with the juice of 1 lemon and 2 tablespoons of butter. So they're cooking in there. We're going to add a little bit later our garlic and our shrimp to this. Okay? So here's my lemon that I squeezed, as you can see. But lemon, juice of 1 lemon, 2 tablespoons of butter, your 1 yellow, 1 red bell pepper, and 1 jalapeno pepper. And then here, as you can see, it's nice and rolling bowl. I have got 3 cups of chicken broth and 1 cup of heavy cream. So to this, I'm going to go ahead and salt really quick. So I'm going to call my camera person over here so I can get some help for a moment. And I also have some cheese. I'll show you my cheese. I'm going to use about an 8-ounce block of pepper jack cheese. So this shrimp and grits is really good, but it's got a little bit of a bite. It's not real spicy, but it's just got a little bit of a bite to give it some nice flavor. So I'm going to hand my phone over to my camera dude, and he is going to hold it for me because I need 2 hands to stir my grits. So I'm going to grab me a spoon here, and I'm going to pour my grits in. Now the grits that I'm using, guys, are quick grits. They are the Quaker, and it says quick 5-minute grits. And that's what I like to use. They're not instant grits, they're different. So you've got your stone mill grits that take longer. And you've got your quick grits, and then you have instant grits. And these are kind of like in between the two. So I am going to pour in about 1 cup of grits. And as I pour, you can watch, I am going to constantly stir it. Okay? Constant stirring is what I'm going to do. And this heavy cream is going to give you a really nice creamy texture to your grits. I don't normally use heavy cream when I'm making grits for breakfast, but this is more like a savory dish. I salted this earlier. I'm just going to add a little bit more. Just makes me feel a little bit better. I normally, for breakfast, I don't use cream. I just use water. I bring the water to a boil, but you're going to cook them exactly the same. And you're just going to keep stirring it just like this. And I used a large pot just because grits has a tendency to rise up a little bit as they're boiling. And I just wanted to make sure they weren't going to boil over. So, and you want to make sure that you keep your heat on about medium high. On about medium high, because you want that boil to continue. You want to keep those grits, and see, you can see how they're getting thicker. You see that bubble? You can tell that they are definitely thickening up. Okay? So you can see right now the consistency of them. But they are thickening up really good. So I'm going to turn my burner down now, since I can tell they're starting to thicken really well. I'm going to turn that burner down, and I'm just going to sit here and stir them for about another minute or so. They're still not completely done cooking yet. It takes these about 6 minutes to completely cook. So they're pretty quick. That's why they're called quick grits. So anyway, but you can see now, look at that. You see that consistency? So they're definitely thickening up. And you really, guys, people who, I live in Pennsylvania now, and people who tell me they don't like grits, my response is, you may not, that might be you, but, or you haven't had them cooked right. And you've got to cook them right, folks. That's just all there is to it. And one of the things to see, look, now you can see, look how much thicker that is. I don't know if you can tell with the video or not, but you can tell that they're definitely thickening up. And one of the things that you've got to do with grits is you don't want them too thick. Now, I kept over here to the side a little bit of cooking stock extra because it didn't use all of this. My 3 cups left me about maybe, I don't know, a 1/4 cup, maybe a 1/2 cup in here. So I'm going to use it to put in here if I feel like my grits are getting too thick, because I might want to add a little bit more liquid to them So they're not too thick, because you don't want grits that are thick. That is not good. And a lot of times when people say that they've had grits that are really, you know, they're super thick, almost like paste, then they've not had them right. So to this, I'm going to add about 3/4 stick of butter. All right? We're going to put that butter in there, and we're going to let it cook. And so we're going to move over here to this pot real quick. All right? So this pot, now coming over here, this pan, my peppers are nice and sweaty. You can see they're kind of cooked down some. They're nice and tender. So what I'm going to do here now, and as I was saying earlier in the video, this has 1 yellow bell pepper, and this has 1 red bell pepper, and it has 1 jalapeno pepper minced. The jalapeno pepper is what you're seeing in here. That's a little bit of your green. So, and I minced it up pretty small, and all of these are seeded, of course, and they're chopped up a little bit finer. My red and yellow pepper, I like to have some nice chunks in there. So, I like to have some nice chunks in there. I'm going to grab my salt and my pepper really quick, just to add a little salt and pepper to this. Guys, salt and pepper is essential anytime you're cooking. It brings out the flavor of everything. And you really, oh, whoops, I opened the wrong side. Oops. But we'll just stir that in there. Hopefully it'll be okay. It won't be too spicy. But you need salt and pepper anytime you're cooking, because it brings out the flavor. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my garlic to this. And I'm going to let that cook in there for just a few minutes and get that garlic going. I'm going to turn my burner up just a little bit more on my peppers, because I turned it down since we were working on our grits. And I think my grits need a little extra stock in them. I'm going to add just a little bit more. And I'm going to stir that in there, just like that. Because see, my grits kind of got a little thick on me. See that? That's too thick. That's too thick. And the longer grits cook, the thicker they're going to get. And so you want a really nice consistency for your grits. So I'm going to add a little bit more stock to them. Or you could add a little bit more cream. Okay? Whichever, but you're going to want to get a really nice consistency to them. And make sure that they're not too thick. So see, that's getting better now. And guys, grits are really hard to ruin. See, that's better. That's kind of the consistency that you want. Maybe even just a little bit more, because as they sit, they thicken up some more. I'm going to add a little bit more cream, because he doesn't love heavy cream. Makes everything so good. Right? So I'm going to add that, stir it up. There we go. Now we got it going on. There, it's better. Okay? So now we got our peppers. I'm sure you hear them sizzling over here. We got our peppers and our garlic, and man, I smell that garlic. It is fabulous. That garlic smells wonderful. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add my shrimp. I'm just going to go ahead and pour my shrimp in there. And like I said, I used about 1 pound. You can double this recipe, guys. This recipe doubles very nicely. I don't have a big family at home anymore. If my kids were here, I would definitely be doubling, probably tripling this recipe. But because they're not, I'm just using it as 1 cup of grits, so I don't have too much left over. So now I'm going to put my shrimp, like I did, in here. I'm going to let that sizzle. And you want to watch your shrimp, because you don't want shrimp to get rubbery. As soon as shrimp begins to turn pink, you can see it's starting to turn that pinky color. It needs to get a little bit more pink. But once it gets a little bit more pink, you know that shrimp is done. And it does not take shrimp long to cook at all. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a lid on this really quick and let that steam for just a moment. And that shrimp is going to cook up, and it's going to be beautiful. So here, again, I'm going to turn my attention back over to my grits. And guys, you can see you're standing at the stove a good bit for this. You know, it makes it go really fast if you prep ahead of time, and that your peppers and everything are sliced ahead of time. You've got all of that ready to go. It doesn't take long to prep them. It really doesn't. And this is a super, really simple recipe, and it's just really wonderful. Now I'm going to put some pepper in this, but I'm going to make sure I'm going to open it from the right side this time so I don't overdo it. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper to it, right? I'm going to stir that. There we go. And I'm going to add just my last little bit of butter. So all in all, you're using about a stick and 2 tablespoons. About a stick in your grits and 2 tablespoons in your peppers. Okay? So you can stir that in there like so. All right, so anyway, so I'm going to stir this up. Just like that. And this is a really nice consistency, guys. Really nice. You don't want it real thick like you can plaster a wall with it, but you don't want it super runny like soup either. So you want a nice consistency there. So I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to check my shrimp just to see how it's doing. See, look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, so good. Look at that. How pretty is that? So that shrimp, guys, it's got a nice little curl to it. It's nice and pink. And it is done. So I'm going to show you how you can plate this up. All right, so I'm going to grab me a quick bowl from a cabinet here. And a good way to plate this up is I'm going to grab me a bigger spoon, because you've got to have a big spoon. I'm going to grab me a bigger spoon. What you can do is take your grits. Let me move this one out. My stirring spoon out of the way. Okay, I'll set that over on the side. So you're going to take like a ladle kind of thing here, and you're going to spoon some grits into it like this, into your bowl or a plate, however you're serving it. Now, folks, this is normally like a main course. I'm serving mine today with a side of field salad greens. So, but you can have this as a side dish if you want, but it's a pretty heavy side dish. You know, when you think about the whipping cream and everything else is in it, but you're more than welcome to do it that way if you want it as a side. I normally serve it with a side of greens and with a nice, really good crusty bread, because you got to be able to sop up that goodness. And then you take some of this and you spoon it right on the top, just like that. How beautiful is that? And another option that you can do is simply to take everything in this pot, in this pan, and pour it in your grits and just stir it together. And everybody can just come and spoon it out. If you want to be a little fancy, you got a fancy date night or something, you can do it this way. It's nicer presentation. Or, like I said, you can pour it all in there like that. And the only other thing, you know what I forgot to put in there? Oh my word. I did not put my cheese. I just turned around and saw my cheese there. Oops. I'm going to take all of this cheese, guys. Man, you can't not put your cheese in there. You got to put it in there. And don't worry, that bowl that I just dipped, it's going to go back in there and it's going to get the cheesy from it. It's going to have to. So, that is my error. It was right behind me. I tried to have everything right here beside me so I made sure I didn't forget nothing. But I'd be doggone if I didn't forget that cheese. And you've got to have your cheese. That's all there is to it. And that is the pepper jack cheese. So, I'm going to add, just to work that cheese in there real good, I'm going to add a little bit more cream to it, just so that cheese works in there real well. And it's not going to be too thick. It's not going to thicken it up too much. but you're gonna add that pepper jack cheese to it, and that's gonna give you a little bit of a bite along with your jalapenos, right? The cheese isn't gonna change the consistency a whole lot. As you can see, that cheese melted just like that. Look at that. Woo! Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm sorry I forgot my cheese, y'all. I will be posting this recipe on there. If you go down south anywhere, you're going to see there are a lot of restaurants that have on there shrimp and grits. And shrimp and grits. And I'm going to turn my camera around if I figure out how to do it. It has on there shrimp and grits. And you go down south, South Carolina, Georgia, even North Carolina now, and you will find this on menus everywhere. It is so good. And everybody has a different take and a different little spin, depending upon the region and what they like. But one thing that you're not going to find down south are sweet grits. We do not sweeten our grits here. We do not. We salt them, we pepper them, we put butter in them, but we do not put sugar in them. That's just not something that we do down south. Doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that we just don't do it that way. And sometimes you'll hear a southern person say, those are not southern grits if they're sweet. Because they should not be sweet. So I'm going to let Jacob, you need to get some of that jalapeno. Okay, pepper jack. Jacob's going to taste it. I'm going to turn around. He's going to taste it. He's my taste tester. I use him all the time. That's a big bite, dude. It's hot. He's trying to get all of it in there. A shrimp, a pepper, some grits, everything. And he's got some of the good cheese in it too. Yep. Yummy. Good. It is really good. So I will post my recipe on our Sassy Sisters Southern Cooking webpage. I'm really glad that you guys joined us today and tuned in for my shrimp and grits recipe, because this is what's for dinner at my house tonight. So you guys have a good night and take care. Until the next time, happy cooking. Bye-bye.